Good afternoon, good evening, all. Welcome to another episode of On Fairy Stories. This has got to be the slowest show on the internet. we are like
Well,
we're
it's
all
been
over.
summer.
We're all over the map. Huh? It's been summer, yeah. It's totally been summer. Are you there? You're frozen. Oh,
I'm
you're
I'm,
good
I'm
now.
there, but yeah, I
You're
think
good.
either me or you were getting cut off, so but
Okay.
it's fine.
Good. Well, yeah, Eugene and I are going to pick up where
You
we
there?
left off, and this time we know where we left off. so, yeah. Eugene, I wanted to mention I saw a post on Substack, like, I don't know, a
Mhm.
week, maybe a week and a half ago from you on what you were making some comments on and I looked for the post to read it later, and I couldn't find it anymore. It was about Tolkien's take on drama. You wrote something on
Yeah,
Substack
yeah,
about that? Did you write a whole
yeah,
piece or
yeah.
did you just put a post up?
I wrote a piece,
Oh, did you? What do you know
and
what it's
I
called?
believe you saw just a comment. It's called. Good question. Let me take my phone here. I forget my own titles, you know. So anyway, uh, so it's called um, Tolkien on the bogus magic of drama, why the spectacle keeps us blind. And
Okay,
it's
I got it.
basically like discussing what we were discussing just a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
maybe
I know.
a
I
month
saw
ago.
it
A
and I
month
was
ago.
like, "Oh, how exciting. I want to read this." And then, I got busy and then I went back to find it and I couldn't find it anymore. Tolkien on
Yeah,
the bogus subject of drama?
yeah, yeah. No, on the bogus magic of drama. That's
Magic.
actually, yeah, that's quoting him verbatim because that's how he called it, either bogus magic or substitute magic.
Right, right.
And
Do you
and
want to
if you,
share before we get into this, do you want to share a few thoughts on what you wrote there just for the sake
yeah,
of the
yeah.
audience?
Yeah, I just went back to that passage that we discussed on that show, and it struck me again how interesting he draws out the contrast between like me going to the movies and watching the Odyssey, for instance,
Yeah.
where every scene is like imposed on my senses, and I do not have a choice of what I am watching and what ideas and interpretations are they're being implanted, so to say.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm reading it, actually, I've been rereading the whole thing, actually re-listening in Russian, uh, starting from the beginning, the whole book, the Odyssey. That was done back in the Soviet days, and they had such a good school of like narrators.
Oh
I'm
wow.
so enjoying it, and it preserves the meter,
Oh
uh,
wow.
Homer's meter, and
Yeah.
the translation is still very very clear, and it's so good.
Wow.
But what happens is that every line, of course, is poetry. It's Homer,
Hmm.
and every line comes alive in my imagination through the metaphors, and it's just full of metaphors, and
Hmm.
it's full of like the rhythm and full of poetry.
Yeah.
So what happens is that something is awakened,
Yes.
versus if I go to the movies, it will be imposed.
Hmm.
You see, so I believe that's where he's, kind of drawing out the contrast, and then he goes to the true magic, which is art, which is something that the elves do, and then he also juxtaposes it with the machine, and I believe that he calls the machine the bogus magic as well, because somehow
Oh,
in his mind the machine is also drama. I don't know, but that's what he's pointing at, I think, in that passage.
interesting. I have to think about all that. That's a lot actually, but it's resonating. It's resonating.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, pretty much stopped watching movies. Like just because I'll watch old movies that are attached to, you know, the kids watching them. You know, as a family, we watched things. Some of them have been more true than when I first watched them. I'm like, oh wow, like Groundhog Day, for example.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just like, oh my gosh, this is a big movie. And some of them have just felt really like precursors to the world we live in, you know, where I'm like, oh no, I thought that was funny, you know, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, and now I'm like, yuck, you know. So, but anyway,
but you know, since you mentioned movies, actually, someone left a comment to that particular post that was really enlightening for me. And the whole conversation was about movies. Like, are all movies like that, like bogus magic? And I had to think a little more about it, and I don't think so. There are
Tarkovsky.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's exactly who I brought up, and a few others. And actually, I love the Groundhog's Day that way, because it's full of metaphors. It doesn't tell you everything.
Right.
It shows you glimpses of, you know, the actual events, but then it kind of it's like Chesterton said, never end a sentence with a point, with a dot. Always have like an ellipsis, you know, have, or at least imply some ellipsis.
Right.
And that's what I don't like about some of the modern day, like movie drama, the film drama. It just it claims totality. We will show you how it was. Like, we're not going to leave anything to you.
Right. Which I just call preaching.
It could be. It could be. Yes.
You know, it's like, you know, yeah. That's what it feels like to me, that I'm being preached at, you know. And I'm sure we've all had these kinds of interactions with people, good intentioned people, you know, who just come up and they just want to save you, right? That's what that is about, don't you think? It's like, you're lost if you don't grab a hold of these ideas, right? Because I know that I'm certain, right, that my ideas are, you know, going to save the world. I mean, ultimately, that's what it boils down to for me. And that just can't be true, because, you know, what I know from George MacDonald about meaning, you know, it's going to mean something different to me. Like, whatever it is that you're getting out of it, that's for you to get out of it, you know. And this is not like a arbitrary postmodern, you know, my truth thing. It's something that resonates with your own personal experience in life, I think. Something like that, right? So there's not really a, you know, George MacDonald uses the example of a sonata. He says you can have four men, you know, sitting back in armchairs listening to a sonata. They're all listening to the same piece of music, but each one of them are traveling to different places.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like that. Yeah. Hugo. Some movies are good, but yeah, you know, I have the book. I don't think I've seen the movie. The book is kind of cool, actually.
I haven't seen it either.
Isn't it? If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's like a graphic novel. But I'm not sure, at Tommy Rushing, if I have the right book. But anyway, do you want me to read? Do you want to read? How do you want to do this?
Can you read? I'm a little sleepy today.
I can totally read.
Thank you so much.
I'm like a reader. I love reading. Okay.
Yeah, generally I do too. So.
Yeah. Recovery, Escape, and Consolation is the subtitle of this part of the essay. As for old age, whether personal or belonging to the times in which we live, it may be true, and we'll do this again, just interrupt me when you hear something to talk about. It may be true, as is often supposed, that this imposes disabilities, but it is in the main an idea produced by the mere study of fairy stories. The analytic study of fairy stories is as bad a preparation for the enjoying or the writing of them as would be the historical study of the drama of all lands and times for the enjoyment or writing of stage plays. The study may indeed become depressing. It is easy for the student to feel that with all his labor he is collecting only a few leaves, many of them now torn or decayed from the countless foliage of the tree of tales with which the forest of days is carpeted. It seems vain to add to the litter. Who can design a new leaf? The patterns from bud to unfolding and the colors from spring to autumn were all discovered by men long ago. But that is not true. The seed of the tree can be replanted in almost any soil, even in one so smoke-ridden, as Lang said, as that of England. Spring is, of course, not really less beautiful because we have seen or heard of other like events. Like events, never from world's beginning to world's end, the same event. Each leaf of oak and ash and thorn is a unique embodiment of the pattern, and for some eye, this very year may be the embodiment, the first ever seen and recognized, though oaks have put forth leaves for countless generations of men. We do not, or need not, despair of drawing, because all lines must be either curved or straight, nor of painting, because there are only three primary colors. We may indeed be older now, insofar as we are heirs in enjoyment or in practice of many generations of ancestors in the arts. In this inheritance of wealth, there may be a danger of boredom or of anxiety to be original. And that may lead to a distaste for fine drawing, delicate pattern, and pretty colors, or else to mere manipulation and over-elaboration of old material, clever and heartless. But the true road of escape from such weariness is not to be found in the willfully awkward, clumsy, or misshapen, not in making all things dark or unremittingly violent, nor in the mixing of colors on through subtlety to drabness, and the fantastical complication of shapes to the point of silliness, and on towards delirium. Before we reach such states, we need recovery. We should look at green again, and be startled anew, but not blinded, by blue and yellow and red. We should meet the centaur and the dragon, and then perhaps suddenly behold, like the ancient shepherds, sheep and dogs and horses and wolves. This recovery fairy stories helps us. This recovery fairy stories helps us to make. Excuse me. In that sense, only a taste for them may make us or keep us childish.
It kind of reminds me of the time when I was in my teens, and I would draw and paint various scenes. I mean, usually something of nature. And what was amazing is that when I go back, even in my memory, and I try to kind of feel again what it was really like reinventing each leaf.
Right.
It felt like reinventing each line, whether straight or curved. But I think I think generally art is understudied, if I can put it this way.
Yeah.
Meaning that when we are in that state of creating art, we identify with the mind of the creator to such a degree that we don't really think, oh gosh, I've seen the oak leaf so many times. What's the fun in drawing an oak leaf? It's just totally different. You know, it's the reinvention of what that leaf is, and even to the point of being startled by the blue. you know, when I look at some tints of blue in some painters, I'm really startled because I totally know how they saw it because I've seen something of it, in real life. And
Yeah.
it feels like a reinvention.
I'm not an artist. Like I just don't feel like I'm gifted in and well, actually it's been told to me that I'm not.
Well,
But every now and then I give it another try, you know. Um, but I've always loved color and coloring. And I mean, for one thing, it's super zen, but I've been doing it for ever since I was a little kid. I just loved coloring. And I've done things like challenge myself where I only have 3 colors and I'm doing like a mandala,
mhm,
and it can't be repetitive and it
mm,
has to be interesting, you know. Um, but I have this set of coloring books where it's called grayscale coloring. So the picture is actually kind of, it's just grayscale. It looks like a black and white painting, right? And you have to color over the shading and, you know, and suddenly you realize that what you thought was blue is actually not. It's like gray,
mhm,
you know, or one of the things I found myself doing was standing outside and going and seeing all the shadows,
mhm,
right? On everything that I yeah, it's just one of those relevance realization moments, you know, where you when you're down, you know, concentrating on color or lines or shadow or whatever, suddenly you it's everywhere. You see it everywhere around you, you know? And yeah, it just for me it points out again how narrowly focused we can become
mhm.
and things that we just miss that are all around us and they're just being there, you know.
Being there. Yeah, yeah,
And we just don't see
yeah.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
there must be some meaning in the fact that there are so many oak leaves out there. Even in my backyard, I mean, there's this oak, and there's so many leaves, and as Tolkien says, each one of them is unique. I mean,
Hmm.
the moment my mind says, "I've seen this before," I lose this. Meister Eckhart says that, talks about the mind of the beginner.
Right.
I use this beginner mind, the beginner mind, or beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind is a Zen
Beginner's,
thing, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I think I read it in Meister Eckhart
Eckhart.
as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's even in the meditations on the tarot, the first card is the magician card. And it's basically Wu Wei. The magician card is the same as Wu Wei in, you know, it's like effortless action, right?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it is. It's but the one thing when we were going through meditations on the tarot, the one thing I kept thinking about when I was looking at that card, that magician's card, was that it's the end result of a mastery of something,
Hmm.
which, you know, like if you keep following the breadcrumbs, leads you to humility, you know, because to master something, you have to first of all be a failure over and over again. Like if you want to be the master, you're never actually you're never the master until you don't think you're the master, and suddenly you realize your effortless action is happening, right? It's
Yeah,
happening. And so you have to be confronted with failure all the time. Every time you decide to master anything, it's just a series. And I'm
hmm,
thinking about myself when I decided to do, to take up spinning and working with fiber. You know, I I'm the kind of person that likes challenges, so I find things to do all over the place, and I can get quote unquote good at them. You know that it passes the sniff test, so to speak.
hmm.
And so I got to that spot with spinning, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with this now. Let's find something else to do.
Hmm.
And I got a tap on the shoulder, and it was like, no, you're not. You haven't even started.
Uh,
You have to master this. And it was really interesting because my first thought was first I felt angry at the voice. It was like, how dare you? I'm good. I'm good at it, right?
hmm, hmm.
And then secondly, I was afraid. And then I realized that that's why I was defensive. I was defensive because I was afraid, right?
Uh,
And so the first thing that had to happen, Eugene, was humility. I had to say, okay, here goes nothing, because I'm going to feel really stupid and dumb and frustrated and lots of things like that. And those are really hard to face,
mhm.
to to do. But you can't be the magician, right? You can't do effortless action until you've mastered something. It's like the bicycle is such a great example, because when you first learn to ride a bicycle, the bicycle just looks like a bunch of parts,
Mhm.
and they're all terrifying, you know, pedals and chains and wheels and handlebars and steering and, all the brakes and whatever else you've got going on your bike. And after a while, when you've mastered it, you jump on it and it becomes a part of your body,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You and the bicycle are one.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like the magic of every day, because I don't know if it's true about you, but sometimes when I get up in the morning, I usually get up earlier than everybody else in the household,
me
and
too.
I'll sit down and I'll have a cup of coffee, and I'm like, here's another day.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just like the previous one, or will it be totally different? And see that sometimes, I mean, it's such a kind of sobering and humbling realization that so often I'm sort of prepared to settle down for another day like yesterday, and it is not right. So it should be, every day should be different, different,
Yeah,
and then somebody gets up and I'm like, oh God, I've never seen this person before. I mean, I almost have to cast some sort of spell on me, or an re-enchant myself with the familiar, to to say that it's something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my vision. If I'm seeing this person, I'm saying I've seen this person 1,000 times, something is wrong with me.
you're right, right, right.
Never seen it before, you know so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway.
No, that's really good. I wrote a little poem. It's 2 lines about mornings and new days. See if I can remember. It's only 2 lines. Mornings like midwives.
Oh,
Hand me the new day. Oh, I can't remember the rest of it. Hand me the new day. Um, I have to look it up now. This is
yeah,
terrible.
yeah, yeah,
Two
yeah.
lines. Well, you can't remember your titles, and I can't remember 2 lines.
uh,
Mornings here. Mornings like midwives. They hand me the day new, unspoiled, and mine entirely. I will love today. I just know it.
yeah, yeah,
Because it felt like the moment that the midwife hands you your baby,
hmm,
you don't even know who this person is, but you just love them, right?
yeah,
There's
yeah.
like no doubt. And that's what the morning was like. It's like, here you go, you know. Here's your day.
Yes, yes. Is your day. Yeah.
Yeah, here's your
Well, it
day.
is like we are back to Groundhog's Day. Either we're stuck in this never-ending cycle of the sameness, or suddenly we wake up and it's February the 3rd.
Mhm.
So anyway, for him that was that was a
Oh, I
great
have so
discovery.
many thoughts about that. When I was watching that movie, I was just like, we have like a wall. It's like a cabin, but it's a big wall tent. And in there, we have our video collection from
Mhm.
many years of collecting videos, and an old TV and a VCR. And I just sometimes I go out there and plug one in and just watch.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very nostalgic. Um, and I was watching Groundhog Day, and I was just like, I thought
Yes,
this
yes.
was just a dumb comedy.
No, no, no. We actually had a discussion with my friends, and it lasted for 10 hours straight just on that
Oh
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One of the things that stood out to me about that story, I don't know if you noticed it, I'm curious though, was how, how Jordan Peterson talked about how the female chooses, right? And so what the female chooses ends up at the top of the hierarchy because the men or the males compete for that spot, right? So it's like this is sexual selection in evolution, really. I could see that in Groundhog Day. Because she kept rejecting him, right?
Yeah.
And so he had to repeat the day until he kept, it was like Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. Well, that was him, right? In the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And her just being who she was forced him to do things a little differently every time until he could find his way to her attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But next time I watch it, I'll
yeah.
try.
We'll have another 10-hour conversation.
Another conversation. Yes.
All right. I'll just keep going here. I don't know how this related to what I read, but it was fun to talk about. Recovery, which includes return and renewal of health, is a regaining of a clear view. Well, that's kind of what you were talking about with the with the Groundhog Day. I do not say, quote, seeing things as they are, unquote, and involve myself with the philosophers, though I might venture to say, quote, seeing things as we are or were meant to see them, unquote, as things apart from ourselves. We need, in any case, to clean our windows so that the things seen clearly may be freed from the drab blur of triteness or familiarity, from possessiveness. That sounds like imposing, like when you look at something and you impose something, something onto it. Of all faces, those of our familiars are the ones both most difficult to play fantastic tricks with and most difficult really to see with fresh attention, perceiving their likeness and unlikeness, that they are faces and yet unique faces. That's what you were just saying about seeing the same person 1,000 times.
Yep.
Right?
Triteness is inside of me. It's not in the world.
Right. Totally. This triteness is really the penalty of, quote, appropriation. The things that are trite, or in a bad sense, familiar, are the things that we have appropriated legally or mentally. Wow, that's great. We say we know them. They have become like the things which once attracted us by their glitter, or their color, or their shape, and we laid hands on them and then locked them in our hoard, acquired them, and acquiring ceased to look at them. Of course, fairy stories are not the only means of recovery or prophylactic against loss. Humility is enough. There it is. And there is, especially for the humble, I don't know how to say this, more efok, or Chestertonian fantasy. Morefok is a fantastic word, but it could be seen written up in every town in this land. It is coffee room, viewed from the inside through a glass door, as it was seen by Dickens on a dark London day. Oh, coffee room. Backwards. And it was used by Chesterton to denote the queerness of things that have become trite when they are seen suddenly from a new angle. That kind of fantasy most people would allow to be wholesome enough, and it can never lack for material, but it has, I think, only a limited power for the reason that recovery of freshness of vision is its only virtue. The word morifok, which is coffee room backwards, may cause you suddenly to realize that England is an utterly alien land, lost either in some remote past age, glimpsed by history, or in some strange dim future to be reached only by a time machine, to see the amazing oddity and interest of its inhabitants and their customs and feeding habits. But it cannot do more than that, act as a time telescope focused on one spot. Creative fantasy, because it is mainly trying to do something else, make something new, may open your hoard and let all the locked things fly away like caged birds. The gems all turn into flowers or flames, and you will be warned that all you had or knew was dangerous and potent, not really effectively chained, free and wild, no more yours than they were you. The fantastic element. Do you want to stop here or do you want to keep going?
Yeah. It's just interesting that whatever you appropriate, you stop seeing.
Yeah.
It's no more yours. Yeah, when something is no more yours, it suddenly becomes you.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I've just been thinking it's a good illustration of what I often feel after I come back from a vacation. Returning home. On the one hand, I'm glad to be home, but on the other hand, it's this. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I do get this feeling of triteness. Like I've seen this place. I've been here. I've mowed this grass before. It's like, it's endless here in Texas. But then, have I appropriated this grass? Maybe it's here to surprise me, and it's like a constant re-enchantment. It's like, I think Chesterton said, "We have grown old. Like God is younger than us. He doesn't he exalts in monotony. He can tell the sun rise every morning and delight in it. And
Right.
for us, repetition is deadly. I mean, we really sometimes I just can't stand repetition.
Yeah.
As though it becomes so familiar in a bad way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I think when that happens, I know from my own experience, having been depressed, like clinically depressed at one point, monotony is just a killer, eh? And all of the familiar starts to weigh down on you. Like it literally feels too heavy, and it loses all its color, interestingly enough. Like monotony becomes monochromatic, like just black and white. Like
it's like monotone.
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 Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's all inside of you. Richie Rich is a movie about the coffee room.
Oh, I've seen that one. Richie Rich, I've seen that one. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm really resonating with everything he's saying here. Like, when I saw the word Morifolk, I thought it was Old English.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then coffee room.
And I'm already going, ooh, how exciting. We're in a new place.
But that's exactly what he, the kind of literary
device the trick.
You wanted to trick. Yeah,
that's right. That's the trick.
Something is so familiar, like coffee room, can suddenly become Morifolk. It's like maybe that's what I should do. Like seeing a table, I should just say it in reverse, and then it just it becomes enchanted again.
It would be a great name for a coffee house.
Oh yes. Morifolk.
Oh. Yeah, I mean we really are like creatures of novelty. We love novelty. And it's novelty sometimes that leads us astray. Which is, I would think Tolkien might say that's not a bad thing, to get off the beaten path, a little bit. Okay, so I'll just keep going here. Where was I? Wild and free. Oh, yeah, when I was reading this, the gems all turn into flowers or flames, and you will be warned that all you had or knew was dangerous and potent, not really effectively chained, free and wild. I was thinking of George MacDonald um, in, I think it's in Lilith, when him and Mr. Vane are walking, they see a pigeon, and Mr. Raven says, "Oh, look, there's a prayer," and Mr. Vane's like, "That was a pigeon." He's like, "Yeah, well,
Mm.
prayers are living things, right? Words
Mm.
are living things." And that's because George MacDonald believes that language. I mean, he's not the only one to say this, but in the essay, in the imagination essay, he talks about how language is derived from creation, from living things. So
Mm.
our language, our words, are literally living things, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow, I like this metaphor very much.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking about when I read this.
yeah. I've been also
You,
thinking recently that yeah, I've also been thinking about words being breaths, literally.
mhm,
Um, I had this interesting. Maybe I've written about that. I forgot. Uh, I had this interesting experience in one of the national parks here. Um, I got up in the morning and something was on my mind. Either I had to do some work. Anyway, I was in a rush. But when we came to this place, it was probably in Utah, around Zion National Park, which is stunning. So, and we came there, and there was hardly anybody there. And suddenly, I realized that the mountains breathe
mm,
because, and I felt it. I felt it because suddenly my breath that was rushed and kind of constricted in me, it
mhm,
suddenly expanded. I looked at the
mhm,
mountain, and my breath expanded. It's like I
mhm,
I started breathing. I started breathing together with that thing, and then everything else kind of joined in,
mm,
and I got my breath back, and then I realized that somehow words are breaths, and true words are true breaths out there that we see, and then basically my speech is the echo of that speech,
mm.
you know,
Yeah.
that type of
Mhm.
thing. And but
That's
I really like
gorgeous.
this metaphor of prayers being things. I'm absolutely sure that this rock that I saw in Zion that made me breathe, that was a prayer too, because it felt like something sacred out there.
Right.
And so
Well, last time we talked, you talked about the woman who climbs the mountains, that the documentary that you translated.
mhm, mhm.
And I think I said something like, she probably keeps doing it because it's where she feels truly human.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that for her, she's only like, it doesn't have anything to do with herself.
Mhm,
It's actually a loss of self and a discovery of her humanity, right?
mhm,
And that comes through a resonance with the mountain. Like you're talking about, how the mountain basically said to you, Eugene, take a breath.
take a breath. Yeah,
Take
yeah.
a breath, Eugene, right? It's all
Mhm.
good. I've been standing
Yeah,
here for thousands of years, you know?
yeah. That was funny
And
because when we left that park, Ina said, "Let's listen to something like a book or an audio book or something." So we chose this old Finnish epic called Kalevala.
oh no, I'm reading that too.
Really, that was so amazing. I don't know
It is
how it is
so
in
amazing.
English translation, but it's also sing-songy in
Yep.
in Russian. But it's so good. I mean,
It is
and
insanely good.
driving through Utah and listening to that, and then we hit Wyoming, and Wyoming sounds almost like Wyoming, that
Right.
deity,
Vainamonen.
Vainimunin, right? So
Vainamonen.
they pronounce Vainimunin in Russian, something like
Yeah.
this. So
Okay.
we're like making poems to each other, like about going through Wyoming with Vainimunin, and then and then trying to talk about the gas station with the same poetic meter, that we caught up in
And
Kalevala.
here's the thing about poetic meter. When you're saying it, when you're speaking the poem, right, when you're reciting it, you have to breathe in a certain pattern,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because you're in the meter of the poem. You know, I was reading a section of that poem to my sister, and I suddenly, without warning, started to weep.
Uh,
You know, and yeah, that I heard, actually, on the subject of Tolkien here. I heard that he was deeply, deeply fascinated with Kalevala.
yeah, Finnish language
Actually,
in Kalevala for sure.
I mean, I my grandmother is Finn, and when I was little, she taught me Finn, and I don't remember much anymore. But um, I've decided to start reading some of the Nordic sagas, and I've got a really great. Where is it now? I just ordered it, but I'm going to do the Kalevala first. I got this translation of Beowulf.
Oh,
Apparently, it's the best. Tom Shippey.
oh, I know him.
So, you know him?
Not personally, but I know of
You
his
know him?
books.
Yeah. So anyway, because I was waiting for the Beowulf, I thought, well, I'm going to start with a Finnish epic because of my grandmother, because I felt, I don't know, some affinity.
Yeah.
I was
Wow.
close to my grandmother, actually.
Hmm.
And I'm just like blown away by it. I have screenshots like filling up my photo app, of
Hmm.
that poem. I read some of it to Michael Martin, actually,
Mm.
because the beginning of the poem is the birth of Wainamoinen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't remember his mother's name now. What's her name? Do you
I
remember?
forgot. No, I forgot now.
Anyway,
Yeah.
she's a virgin,
Hmm.
Eugene.
Hmm.
She
Isn't
has
she?
a
Isn't she a river? The river or something?
Well, she's from the ether. She's from the ether, and she comes down, and she gets heavier and heavier, and then she has to bear all the pain of being weighted, right?
Mm.
She ends
Hmm.
up in the water, and she gives birth in the water to
Oh,
Wainamoinen.
that. Oh, yeah.
But she is literally from the ether, right? That's where she belongs. That's where she comes from. And but because she's going to bear a child, it drags her down into gravity. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, this is what God said to Eve in the garden. He said, "You will have pain in childbirth, right? You
Mm-hmm.
will toil and sweat, and these are her complaints in the Kalevala. Is it's so beautiful. Her lament
Hmm.
about having to bear a child, basically,
Yeah.
into the world, and what happens to her, how she comes down, out of this, ethereal life, and then into the gravity of the earth, right?
Hmm.
It's and I mean, that's what it is when you have children,
Hmm.
right? You live up little up here in the clouds, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have children, and oh my God, everything is important, you
Yes.
know. But it's so beautifully written. It's so
Hmm.
beautifully written. Okay, I'll keep going here.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, he says that the gems turn into flowers. Yeah, and they weren't effectively changed. They were free and wild. No more yours than they were you.
Mm-hmm.
The fantastic, quote unquote, fantastic elements in verse and prose of other kinds, even when only decorative or occasional, help in this release, but not so thoroughly as a fairy story, a thing built on or about fantasy, of which fantasy is the core. Fantasy is made out of the primary world. But a good craftsman loves his material and has a knowledge and feeling for clay, stone, and wood, which only the art of making can give. By the forging of Graham, cold iron was revealed. By the making of Pegasus, horses were ennobled. In the trees of the sun and the moon, root and stalk, flower and fruit are manifested in glory. And actually, fairy stories deal largely, or the better ones, mainly, with simple or fundamental things untouched by fantasy. But these simplicities are made all the more luminous by their setting. For the story maker who allows himself to be, quote, free with, unquote, nature, can be her lover and not her slave. It was in fairy stories that I first divined the potency of the words and the wonder of the things, such as stone and wood and iron, tree and grass, house and fire, bread and wine. I will now conclude by
If
go
I can
ahead.
interject something.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He talks about all these kind of simple things that are more luminous because of fantasy. I remember before actually reading The Lord of the Rings or the Silmarillion, I couldn't quite understand people's fascination with stones. Well, I could certainly understand why some gems are precious. I mean, and
Right.
I mean they are pretty. Like I would go to a museum and see all those precious stones. But especially in the Russian folklore, there are some fairy tales that really kind of sing the praises of stones found in the Ural Mountains, for instance. And I couldn't get it. But then when I read the Silmarillion, I believe, uh, I finally got it because through this fantasy, Tolkien basically saying that the stones, particularly the Silmarils, well, so Silmarils were made, right? But he's talking about generally like precious stones. They retain somehow the light of the original two trees. There's some light of
Mm-hmm.
creation that they hold. And then I started
Yeah. Oh my
noticing how this
goodness.
this same the same motif is seen in some of the Japanese cartoons that we, Ina and I really like watching because there's usually like a miner that goes down into the mountain into the mine and uncovers those gems, and the reason he loves them so much is because he sees that
The light.
gleam, that glittering, that light, which kind of brings them back to life. And then suddenly all those stories I heard as a child kind of started making sense. Oh, that's what precious stones are. I mean, they're not what I think they are. So since then, I really love touching stones, and then I
Mm-hmm.
picked up one stone at the Arches National Park just to bring it and you
Mm-hmm.
know to have it in the bathroom. So
Well, what I thought of right away was Rilke in the Ninth Elegy. He says, I'll just read this. Here, here, and that's in italics, okay? Here is the time for the sayable. Here is its homeland. Speak and bear witness. More than ever, the things that we might experience are vanishing. For what crowds them out and replaces them is an imageless act, an act under a shell which easily cracks open as soon as the business inside outgrows it and seeks new limits. Between the hammers, our heart endures, just as the tongue does between the teeth, and despite that, still is able to praise. Praise this world to the angel, not the unsayable one. You can't impress him with glorious emotion. In the universe where he feels more powerfully, you are a novice. So show him something simple, which formed over generations, lives as our own, near our hand and within our gaze. Tell him of things, capital T. He will stand astonished, as you stood by the ropemaker in Rome or the potter along the Nile. Show him how happy a thing, capital T, can be, how innocent and ours. How even lamenting grief purely decides to take form, serves as a thing or dies into a thing, and blissfully escapes far beyond the violin. And these things, which live by perishing, know you are praising them. Transient, they look to us for deliverance, us the most transient of all. They want us to change them, utterly in our invisible heart, within, oh, endlessly within us, whoever we may be at last. Earth, isn't this what you want? To arise within us, invisible? Isn't it your dream to be wholly invisible someday? O earth invisible, what if not transformation is your urgent command? Earth, my dearest, I will. Oh, believe me, you no longer need your springtimes to win me over. One of them, even one, is already too much for my blood. Unspeakably, I have belonged to you from the first. You were always right, and your holiest inspiration is our intimate companion, death. Look, I am living. On what? Neither childhood nor future grows any smaller. Superabundant being wells up in my heart. He said, one of the best parts of this is he says, Earth, isn't this what you want? To arise within us, invisible. Isn't it your dream to be wholly invisible someday?
Mm-hmm.
The earth is asking us to talk about it, the thing, right? The capital T thing.
Mm-hmm.
Explain it to the angel, which I find so beautiful because the angel is eternal. The angel knows, right? But he doesn't know your experience of the thing.
Yeah.
And so, like Rilke says, tell him what you think of the thing. And what came to my mind right away was when my kids would come home with a drawing from school and they would explain it to me.
Yeah.
Look what I made. And I'd say, well, what is it? And I felt like the angel, and they were telling me about the thing. And what I marvel at is, sure, their work, their handiwork, but also them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their affinity, their relationship to it, what they're thinking about when they make it, it's who they are that gets revealed.
Yeah.
To me, right? And to the angel. And that the earth becomes invisible. It's like you gobble it up. You eat it, right? It becomes a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no longer, you can't see it anymore because you ate it, right? But in the best way possible. You ate it and then you regurgitate it and it comes out as poetry. And yeah, anyway, only Rilke could say it that way, but it's
but it's interesting because when you read it, I kind of thought about this whole mystery of having an embodied experience of something. Like the earth made it possible for me to see rocks and flowers. And this particular embodiment of the earth is it is unique in a sense that the earth wants me to experience it that way. Or I see this river, mountain river, bubbling and then churning, and it's another embodiment. And what you said about your children, like bringing something, a thing, and they also kind of talk about how they experience this embodiment, this something embodied. It's almost like the earth or whatever is kind of playing with them, and
Right.
appearing like a magician or a fairy, appearing in a certain form, just to see how they would react.
Right.
And I had this experience, on this trip also. Like some roads are like stunning, breathtaking, and you take a turn, you don't know what it's going to be, but then this particular embodiment of divine spirit meets you, like it kind of jumps on you out of nowhere,
Mm.
and you are surprised, and you want to like share it with whoever you're traveling with, and
Right.
you want to write about it, you want to give it to some angel
And tell them about it.
and tell them about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like this poem. Really great.
Yeah. The ninth elegy from his Duino elegies.
Uh-huh.
It's one of my favorites. They're all really good, but yes, this is filling me up. So we got there because I read when I first divined the potency of the words and the wonder of the things, such as stone and wood and iron, tree and grass, house and fire, bread and wine. Oh yeah. He also says, I think it's in the. I think I just got to check now because I thought of this as well. He also says in the ninth elegy, I think. That maybe we're just here it is. He says, when the traveler returns from the mountain slopes into the valley, he brings not a handful of earth unsayable to others, but instead some word he has gained, some pure word, the yellow and blue gentian. Perhaps we are here in order to say house, bridge, fountain, gate, pitcher, fruit tree, window, column, tower. But to say them, you must understand. Oh, to say them more intensely than the things themselves, ever dreamed of existing. Isn't this the secret intent of this taciturn earth when it forces lovers together? And that's what Tolkien just said, He can the earth can be his lover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what Roke is
Exactly
saying here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're just, maybe you just went up the mountain so you could say yellow and blue gentian.
Yes, and then or just a rock, and then
Rock,
suddenly
fountain, pitcher.
the triteness is gone immediately.
Exactly.
Because we were one day we were staying at this hotel, and we came in the evening. I heard that it should be somewhere on the river, the whole thing, or near a river, the whole place in the Rocky Mountains. But then in the morning when I got up, stepped outside, and then I saw it.
Mm.
So we were actually like, not like on the river, but very close to the river, mountain river. And they had a deck so you could just basically sit there, have tea, and overlook the stream underneath you. And I just sat there and I said, the river, just one word, the river.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the word. And that was enough, because it wasn't any river at all. It was the river. The river. The thing.
Mm-hmm. Capital T.
Uh-huh.
Thing. Yeah. Fantastic. We got 1 minute and then we're an hour in. Shall I read any more? Do you want me to read a little bit more? Or
yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. I will now conclude by considering escape and consolation, which are naturally closely connected. Though fairy stories are, of course, by no means the only medium of escape, they are today one of the most obvious and to some outrageous forms of escapist literature. And it is thus reasonable to attach a consideration of them, some consideration of this term escape in criticism generally. I have claimed that escape is one of the main functions of fairy stories, and since I do not disapprove of them, it is plain that I do not accept the tone of scorn or pity with which escape is now so often used. A tone for which the uses of the word outside literary criticism give no warrant at all. In what the misusers of escape are fond of calling, capital R, real life. Escape, capital E, is evidently, as a rule, very practical and may even be heroic. In real life, it is difficult to blame it unless it fails. In criticism, it would seem to be the worse the better it succeeds. Evidently, we are faced by a misuse of words and also by a confusion of thought. Why should a man be scorned if, finding himself in prison, he tries to get out and go home? You love it. Or if, when he cannot do so, he thinks and talks about other topics than jailers and prison walls. The world outside does not become less real because the prisoner cannot see it. In using escape with a capital E in this way, the critics have chosen the wrong word. And what is more, they are confusing, not always by sincere error, the capital E escape of the capital P prisoner with the capital F flight of the capital D deserter. So he says they're confusing the escape of the prisoner with the flight of the deserter. That's nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just so a party spokesman might have labeled departure from the misery of the Führers or any other Reich, and even criticism of it as treachery. In the same way, these critics, to make confusion worse and so to bring into contempt their opponents, stick their label of scorn not only onto desertion, capital D, but onto real escape, capital E, and what are often its companions, and these are all capitalized: disgust, anger, condemnation, and revolt. Not only do they confound the escape of the prisoner with the flight of the deserter, but they would seem to prefer the acquiescence of the Quisling to the resistance of the patriot. To such thinking, you have only to say the land you loved is doomed, to excuse any treachery, indeed to glorify it. For a trifling instant, do you want to say anything here? Or?
Well, yeah. It's just, I really enjoyed his distinction.
Me too.
But there was a line that I especially liked here. I'm trying to find it. Basically, oh yeah. Or if, when he cannot do so, he thinks and talks about other topics than jailers and prison walls. I kind of often find myself, especially when I talk to my friends. I mean, sometimes, whether I like it or not, we start talking about politics or start talking about some things that you really need to escape from. Not as a deserter, but as for your own sanity. Because the moment I realize I'm in prison, it's almost like a must to change my mind first, and then I can maybe break out of the prison. Because if I stay in the prison and think like I'm in the prison, there's no way I'm going to break out of the prison. So it's just kind of become really important to me. It's like, what are the things I'm thinking about, and what are the things I'm talking about? Do I still talk about those prison walls? The same prison walls that I'm in, or am I ready to escape? But I'm only ready to escape when I make up my mind to talk about other things,
right?
Consciously.
So, I think this is. I think this gets back to the idea of triteness, actually, because the triteness is within you, right? And again, the prison is within you. Like, I'm not afraid of some people think you should never talk about politics, or you should never even try to figure it out. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not the type of person to try to figure it out, because God only knows what's going on behind the curtains. But I can look in every now and then. I can look in and say, okay, what's happening in the King's Court today, right? Who died, who was assassinated, Who are they joking about? You know,
Hmm.
and then but that's not reality. I always have to remember that what I'm doing is I'm looking at a play, a drama, actually. I'm looking at it's a stage, right? Everything is there. They know that they're being watched. And when people know that they're being watched, they don't act
Hmm.
integral, in my opinion. They don't want to be vulnerable, right? That's the problem.
Hmm.
So it's a show. It's a show, right? So you look at it and you say, okay, there's this and this and this is happening. Somehow, I like how Paul Kingsnorth put it. There's underneath all of it is this Leviathan, kind of swimming. And so I'm kind of like with my binoculars looking for fins and tails, you know,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really
yeah,
looking at the people or what they're doing, but it's just like in the back, where's that Leviathan?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Makes sense.
but then I put my things down and I go outside, and that's reality. Or
Mhm.
I'm, having a conversation with my husband or making a meal for him or whatever the case might be, right? In communion with somebody who I love. That's reality. That's why I'm alive, right? So
Mhm.
everything else is just entertainment. But you can, and I think you should, be looking for a Leviathan, you know?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like Blake
What's
Scott in his Job in I'm going through also very slowly with Jess P. I'm going through the book of Blake's Job illustrations. I don't know where it is
Mhm.
right. It's here somewhere. Um, and in the very first few illustrations, there's there's just these like hints of a snake. You can see like a scale, and
Mhm.
as the illustrations progress, the the leviathan or the snake gets more and more visible, right, throughout the whole thing, and it
Oh.
kind of frames the illustrations. It's in the sidelines, right?
Mhm.
Um, and of course, you could spend an entire lifetime. You could probably make a career out of trying to figure out what he was doing with those illustrations because they're just incredible. But that's what I'm looking for. Like when I'm walking in the woods, I'm not looking in the trees for little birds. I'm looking in the area for movement,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? That's how I live on my farm, right? Like I look out the window, and if I see all my sheep doing sheep things, I go back to making dinner. If I look out my window and I see a sheep all alone, I have to get my things on and go see what's wrong.
Mm.
It's an anomaly. I'm looking for anomalies, I guess maybe I'm saying. And or if I want to know if there's a predator, because I've got forest on the other side of the field,
Mhm.
I don't look at the trees. I look at the ground, between the ground and the bottom of like where the branches start,
Mhm.
and I look for movement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what I look for. And it's hidden,
yeah.
right? But it's just a little bit of movement. And so when I'm looking at politics, that's how I'm looking at it,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? I'm looking at where's that shadow? Where's that tail of Leviathan coming up, or you know,
Yeah.
where's he spouting out water, and where's the foam
Mhm. Mhm.
in the distance?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's interesting, but
Oh,
for me also, yeah,
sorry. Keep
that's okay.
talking. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Um, I also find that so it's kind of a matter of perspective. Uh, I wonder if it's even possible to break out of prison until you have made this mental escape. And because some of my friends are in Russia, and the whole country is going through a lot of mess basically at this point. It's really hard to for some of them to gain a perspective that would be that will help them to see things differently, if I can put it this way. So while you are inside this imprisoned thinking, you simply don't know how to make the escape. I don't know if I'm making sense here. So
I get it.
yeah, so it's like you talk to someone and you realize that everything they think, everything they say is comes from that prison perspective. It's born from that prison perspective, and it's impossible to break out that way.
Hmm.
Whereas Tolkien says that once in a while, if that prisoner once in a while starts talking about something else other than walls, that's pretty much where the escape becomes. It's heroic, and it's where the escape becomes possible. And
Well, this is exactly what Viktor Frankl was all about.
yeah,
You're in a concentration camp, and like this is the thing that really really hit me was people said to him, you have to give them a reason to live.
yeah,
Okay, because they were throwing themselves up against the electric fence and killing themselves, the prisoners.
mhm,
And there's just something really wrong about that, right? It's a horrible thing to see someone do, right?
mhm.
And he's like, they're in a concentration camp. They're going to die. Like what? But then he discovers logotherapy, like that, exactly what you're saying, that you have to become free in who you are, I would say.
Mhm.
And then you're free, right? Then you're free. And like I think this is what Christ is talking about when he comes to set the captives free, right? This is what he's talking about.
Mhm. And he's doing it with the good news, the
Right. And the good
changing of the mind.
right, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. Um this whole idea of escapism, when my husband and I sold our house in Switzerland and we moved to the most one of the most remote places in British Columbia, and took our kids with us and homeschooled. We were so accused of escapism, right? Oh, you can't escape, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're not trying to escape, actually. We want to enter into, I think my father-in-law gave us a fridge magnet that said freedom is the ability to choose your own chains.
Interesting.
Because he was kind of pissed, right, that we did this thing. He thought we were, no, you have to live within the culture, you have to live in the neighborhood. You've got to, you know, you have to have friends. You have to have, it's not like we didn't have any friends, actually. We had a lot more visitors there than we ever did. But it looks like escapism, but it's actually, I don't even know how to put it. It's like it's that weird antinomical flip that happens, where, for example, people thought my kids need to be socialized, and if they're homeschooled, they're not socialized. Well, I move up into this remote place, and there's other kids there. They're all homeschooled. They've all been born and raised there. Like, we moved there, but they were born and raised there. And sitting with families, we had lots of get-togethers, lots of families, lots of kids, and my husband would say to me, "Man, those kids are so nice." Like, everybody sat around at the table, kids and all, old and young, and all talked about really big things. There's like no generation gap, none. And I said to him, I've been accused of not socializing my children. Meanwhile, these kids are the most social I've ever seen. They don't live in a phony subculture 8 hours or 6 hours a day in a schoolroom with their peers, right? They're living and working hard with people of all ages and learning skills, and they can converse. Like, they were so socialized. It was incredible.
Was it before the cell phones?
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It was all
before.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
That's
before.
really good.
I
Uh,
mean, we had communication. We had a for the neighbors, we had a CB, and that was a fun game because everyone can hear you talking on it, right? So the teenagers, when the teenagers wanted to call their friends, they would have a secret channel that just the two of them knew. So when I say go to channel 6, it really means go to channel 45. Oh, did you freeze? Oh, there you go. Did you hear me?
yeah, I heard. Yeah, you were cut off a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
so the
think
kids
I
had a
pretty much
secret
heard it.
code. You know, they would call each other on the CB, which the whole neighborhood could hear. Okay, both sides of the conversation. But the kids would say go to channel 6, but they had a secret code. Channel 6 meant channel 45, right? So they'd zoom over and try to have a private conversation. So it was very communal, actually, because everybody and then the other kids in the neighborhood were scanning the CB to see where they were, what channel they were on. Yeah. Anyway, it was a very social, super social setting. But my point really about all of that is just that people accuse you of escapism when really
Yeah.
it's moving deeper into who you are, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, it's also
which
like
also
the whole parrot.
sorry, go ahead.
We're losing connection. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I gotcha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying that it's just really paradoxical that in the age when we have so many devices to connect us, we're supposed to be the most connected generation, in the history of the world. There's so much disconnection.
So much.
And then I kind of like how this paradox works, that when you take your children and move out into this remote place, you finally see them connecting. Because
Totally.
we've experienced something very similar as well, because all of our children were homeschooled until high school.
Yeah,
And
same.
we saw that same phenomenon. Like the kids were able to communicate with adults with no problem about anything. Join with in the dancing, in the singing, in the cooking of
Everything.
meals, and it's just everything. So
Everything.
there's the Leviathan somewhere there, when we're being sold this connectivity, this connection, this false connection. We know that there's Leviathan scales somewhere there.
Definitely.
The whole picture is like framed in this Leviathan.
Yeah. Yeah, when his illustrations begin, there are these two angels sitting on the corner of the frame. And as the Leviathan becomes more solidified at the end, when it shows up as a serpent, the angels are dead. They're hanging on the frame. Keep freezing. Keep losing you. You there?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay.
Yep. I think the technology doesn't want to cooperate.
No. I have this StreamYard set at 1080, which is a lot of resolution. So I should have switched it, and then it might have made it easier for your internet. But okay, well, we're 1 hour and 20 minutes in, so maybe we'll end it here. I just want to I'm going to make a audible note of where we left off so I can go back. So We left off at the sentence, to such thinking, you have only to say, the land you loved is doomed, to excuse any treachery, indeed, to glorify it. Right? That's where we left.
That's exactly.
Okay. So we'll pick up
Okay.
here. I'm just for the sake of the audience, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. So unfortunately, On Fairy Stories is going to continue to drag on. But that's okay. We'll get it done.
That's okay. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Shari. It was really, really interesting. As always.
As always. Yeah. Thank you, Eugene. Thanks for doing this with me. And thanks to everyone who's watching. And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. See you later.